Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I took off my virtual sunglasses before evaluating because I realized no matter what I do, I could never be as cool as Lakita. So off with the sunglasses and on to the evaluation. It is my pleasure today to evaluate Nancy's speech. Nancy came across, as always, very confident. She was engaged. She's very authentic. And Nancy, we know, is a fantastic storyteller. And she told me beforehand, she says, I don't know if I'm doing a speech about humor. I don't know if it's going to be funny. She actually threw a lot of humor in there as well. So we really did appreciate that, Nancy. So one of the things Nancy shared was that her goal was to have good eye contact while having good supporting backgrounds and while still peeking at her notes every now and then. So let me just start off there. I felt that Nancy's eye contact was solid throughout. I felt engaged is one of the ways to pull you in. When it comes to the supporting backgrounds, there was a bit of a technical issue about that. But as the speech went on, I kind of thought to myself, I'm not so sure how much backgrounds could have added to her speech. With her words alone, I felt that was adequate. It covered all the bases that she was speaking about. So I'm curious about the backgrounds. I'm not so sure how much she would have added, but I'm curious. And she did peek at her notes, as she said. I always remind people to try and keep notes down in front of you. So it's a quick look down and quick look up. I think hers were a bit to the side. So I did notice it kind of like this. For me, it was a bit of a distraction. Now let's get on with her actual speech itself. I learned an awful lot about humor. I love working humor into my speeches. It's a work in progress, of course. And I learned a lot of things from Nancy here. She talked about things like, she started off by defining humor. She talked about how it can be a powerful communication tool, how it can be a bridge between the speaker and the audience, breaks down barriers, and a number of different points. The points themselves were fantastic, but what made her speech very effective was that she gave examples to support each point that she made. She talked about the story about her dad complaining about dinner and her brother throwing it back in his face. She brought up Robert, and she also brought up Ronald Reagan. So she gave great examples to support her points, and they were examples that we could all relate to. Now, to take this speech from good to great, I would suggest to Nancy and to anybody, if there is a slip up during your speech, don't draw attention to it. Move on. It didn't work. Move on. She eventually did that, but don't fret about it. Just move on. I found that Nancy's, because of her positioning, I saw some hand gestures, but really I only saw her fingertips because I think if she sat back a little bit more, we could have seen more of her hands. And to be aware of the time as well. I think she went overtime. One of the things that she did really well at the end of her speech was put an exclamation mark at the end of it by actually telling a joke at the end of a speech about humor. And it was relevant to all of us about Toastmasters. We all had a great laugh. We really enjoyed your speech, Nancy. Thanks for sharing today. With that, throw it back to you, Madam Toastmaster.